So today I'd like to talk a little bit more about what it means to breathe deeply while you're riding. And so first we have to understand a couple things. One is you can breathe very shallow or you can breathe deep. And a lot of times we'll say something like breathe down into your belly instead of like breathing from up here. And what that means is if you're breathing up here, you're breathing short, rapid breaths. You're not getting a full inhale. And so a full inhale down into your belly essentially goes down below your lower ribs, where your diaphragm actually pulls that breath down, fully expands your chest, and then when you exhale, lets all that air out. And most of us actually don't breathe deeply just walking around, let alone riding. Compound riding with fear issues, absorbing shock incorrectly or uncomfortably in our bodies while we're on a horse. There's lots of reasons why we might not breathe deeply. But let's talk about how to breathe deeply and what that looks like when you're in the saddle. So obviously I'm not on a horse, I'm standing on my own feet. But if you breathe deeply, first of all, you have to have good form in order for the air to pass through. So what you can think about is like your upper body is a vessel, and if your upper body is blocked in some way, then the air will not be able to pass through. So we want to be like a nice long tube that air can fill up. So that means having your ribs stacked above your hips, so the front of your ribs are open without curving your back. So you kind of have to play with where's that point where the front of my ribs, and you can actually poke around in there and find your bottom ribs. Many women tuck their bottom ribs into their belly, especially in an effort to like suck in your stomach or engage the core in the way that we've understood it, which is usually incorrect, which is kind of like a sucking in. And if you look at me, you'll see that I have to tuck my lower ribs in, and I actually can't breathe deeply when I do that. And it's going to actually affect my hip mobility, which is a story for another day. But so my sternum is here and my collarbones are here, and it actually helps to poke around on yourself and find those things. So my sternum needs to lift, my collarbones need to expand. Now my ribs can expand, and now my belly, as I'm talking, I can actually, if you listen to my voice, it starts to get louder and deeper and more, I have more tone, I have more carry through. So if I'm teaching a clinic, I can actually project really well. Or if I walk like this, I can't project very well. I can't breathe very deeply. And so I actually can't get my voice out, so it sounds more breathy. So because I'm not breathing very well. And so if I'm sitting on a horse, it's knocking the air out of me every stride, and I'm gonna get more crunched. Okay, so to breathe deeply on a horse, we really need to have an open chest. And what that means is your clavicles here need to expand away from each other. Your shoulder blades need to roll down and back. Okay, so then your low ribs, your bottom ribs are open without arching your back. So this is too far forward. This is a nice place so that the back of me and the front of me are in a nice alignment. So now I have a lot of room in my belly. So when I take a deep breath in, I can feel it fill my hand here. And when I breathe out, it all comes out. So I can talk interrupted, I can move interrupted. All this air can flow through me as I'm moving and as I'm talking. So for me as a teacher, I actually had to learn how to do this while moving and talking, because at clinics I would get out of breath and I would get dizzy because I wasn't projecting well, because I wasn't breathing well as I was talking. So I've learned how to do this, right? So when you're riding, the same skill set is necessary, where your position first helps you intake the air. So if you're closed, you cannot take in air. You can hear my voice change right away, right? If you're open, you can take in air and you can breathe out air. You can breathe out easily, you can breathe in easily. That means you can think clearly. That means you can regulate your thoughts and your feelings, and you can actually feel. So a really important thing to understand is that if you are not breathing well, if you're not open, you actually can't feel your horse adequately. You actually can't take in information adequately, and you're not going to be able to react adequately. So it's going to be very difficult for you to ride well without breathing. And it's something that, everybody kind of knows, like you're supposed to breathe. I hear my students say all the time, like, oh yeah, I should be breathing. But what does that mean, right? It means to breathe fully down into your bottom ribs so that your lungs can expand fully and you can express the air back out without interrupting the flow of movement. So top athletes usually have to learn this. Singers have to learn this. People who speak for a living usually have to learn this. It's not something we do on a daily basis a lot of times without being coached, but it is well worth it to take the time and learn it as you walk around, as you sit. Practice breathing deep with an open form, and just notice how much your posture affects your breathing. I mean, it's huge. It's a huge difference. So think of yourself as a big vessel that air has to pass through, and if it's closed, the air can't get through. Like a balloon has to expand your chest. So the air goes into the balloon and expands your chest. Something I always tell my students is expand the bones in your skin so that you have more space within yourself to utilize and to interact with the world, to take in inputs, to feel back to the horse, and it will literally change your life. It would definitely change your ride. Hope that helps.